inside my arms, where the night goes down. Oh baby, I want you to be here. When the sun comes up and the day goes by,
Alright, what's up guys? Hopefully you enjoyed that workout. That was actually from Friday's workout on the Hyper Physique program with Nova Training. It was a full upper body workout. And yeah, give it a try, let me know what you think. But in this video, we're now going to discuss how to properly train while on a diet. Because if you are on a diet, you should be training slightly different than if you're not on a diet. We're gonna get into the details of how to do that, how to optimize your training while in a caloric deficit, while you're losing fat, while you're getting shredded. All those things are gonna be talked about today. But real quick, if you haven't already, just go down below, hit that like button. You know I appreciate that a lot. But let's get into the video. Gonna zoom in now to the whiteboard and get going. All right, so if you're on a diet, typically your goal is to either maintain as much muscle as possible or maintain as much strength as possible. And both of those things are gonna be covered in this video. So I split up this video into 3 sections to talk about. Number 1 is volume, number 2 is intensity, number 3 is just some practical training tips that you can apply into your training right away. So starting off, we have volume, and we're gonna talk about a couple of things. MEV, which stands for minimal effective volume, and MRV, which stands for maximal recoverable volume. And just so you know, this comes from information from Renaissance Periodization, Dr. Mike Isertel. He goes really in depth with a lot of these things, so if you're looking for more information, go to them. But I'm gonna quickly explain how these work, and you should be able to find them pretty valuable. So in your training, your minimal effective volume is the minimal amount of volume that you need in order for your muscles to grow. Now, on the other hand, you have your MRV, which is the maximal recoverable amount of volume that you can handle. So the max amount of volume that your body can handle where it can still adapt and overcome the stimulus, recover and grow. So typically you have these 2 ranges, your minimal effective volume, your maximal recoverable volume, and during a mesocycle you progress through that range and see optimal growth. Now on a diet, these numbers start to shift slightly. Your minimal effective volume actually goes up. So you need more minimum volume in order to maintain your muscle. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because when you're on a diet, you have less calories, all this muscle that you have becomes sort of a liability. Your body needs to produce more energy that it doesn't have anymore. And so in order to maintain muscle on a diet, you need to give your body a reason to maintain that muscle. So your MEV goes up. But at the same time, because you don't have as many calories as you did before, your recovery is not as efficient. So your maximal recoverable volume actually decreases. So we see these 2 numbers, your MEV and your MRV, actually come closer together like this. Now, this is kind of a standard rule for training in general, but especially on a diet, you need to lift enough to maintain, but not too much, just as we discussed. And also, noting that there's a difference in volume between isolation and compound movements. Isolation movements are going to be a lot easier to recover from, so during a diet specifically, I would definitely utilize isolation movements. This might be as simple as choosing a chest fly over a chest press machine. Now, not to say to cut out compound movements completely, but I would say to use your volume a bit more wiser and maybe just overall use more isolation exercises. And it's important to know too that if you're on a diet, typically, not that you need to, but a lot of us will incorporate cardio in order to make our deficit bigger. And that's important to know too, because now you're adding this whole new stimulus of cardio into the mix that you're forcing your body to adapt to. So keep that in mind. You will probably not be able to lift to the intensity and the volume that you were previous to your diet, but you still should be going hard. Which brings us to our next topic of intensity. Higher intensity is harder to recover from. And we already know that we discussed earlier, your recovery is not as efficient when you're on a diet. And so making sure that you do not lift at a high intensity if you don't really need to. That means that you cannot go into the gym every day hitting RPE 10s on every set and expect to see the results that you want to see from your diet. So you need to really be balancing your intensity and your volume. If your volume is going up, typically your intensity needs to come down a little bit, and vice versa. If you are bench pressing very heavy, then you might need to take a little bit out of your volume in order to balance the two out and make sure that you're recovering properly. Now, if your main goal is to maintain strength, you need high intensity to maintain that maximal strength. If you don't want your bench press to totally tank during a diet, you need to bench press heavy. So be smart about your training. Make sure to balance that intensity and that volume out correctly in order for your specific goals. Also, during a diet, you need to be careful of injuries. It's very easy to get overuse injuries such as tendonitis or even just kind of muscle aches while you're on a diet because your recovery is a bit low. If this does happen, it's best to adjust your volume and your intensity accordingly. Usually stepping back a little bit, lowering your volume a few sets in those muscle groups, and also lowering the intensity should take care of the injury pretty quickly. And lastly, practical tips. Let's say that on back day, you're doing cable rows and during your bulk, you put it on the number 10. It should be your goal, even when you're on a diet, to still put it on the number 10 and hit the reps and sets that you were previous. So a practical tip, hit normal rep ranges with a normal weight from previous to the diet, and that's gonna help you maintain that muscle. Also, this is more anecdotal from personal experience, but heavy singles on compound movements I find very effective. My last diet that I did last year, I managed to only drop about 10 pounds on my bench press from dieting for 13 weeks. I lost 20 pounds and my bench press only dropped 10 pounds. I see that as a huge success. I will add to this that if you're trying to maintain as much strength as possible, slowing down your diet is going to be probably the most effective way, but there's other things we can do, such as using heavy singles to basically just keep your body and your neuromuscular connections as efficient as possible, and that's gonna help you maintain your strength. Also guys, maybe a 4-day split. I'm not suggesting that this is the best, but the Hyperphysique program that I'm currently running is a 4-day split. The volume is very similar, taking into account MEV and MRV changes through a deficit, but it is a 4-day split, so you have Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday's just a cardio and active rest day, and then Thursday and Friday you lift again. And so far I'm really liking it. It improves my recovery a lot. I'm able to go harder. And before, especially on a diet, I feel by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm just getting very burned out, but having Wednesday off is a huge help. So if you're used to a 5 or 6 day split, maybe go to a 4 or 5 day split, try that out and see if your recovery is any better. And as long as your volume is equated, even dropping a day out of your routine isn't going to negatively impact your training. And lastly, just fueling your body correctly. So, I mean, depending on how you diet, I do flexible dieting if it fits your macros. So for me, I make sure to have carbs before I go to the gym so I can perform correctly. If you are doing intermittent fasting, I would maybe consider working out later in the day after you've eaten, because making sure that your workouts are effective and just making sure that you're working out effectively is going to be huge in the process of dieting and making sure that you're maintaining your strength and muscle mass. All right guys, there you have it. That's the video. Hopefully you found this valuable. If so, hit the like button and leave a comment below what you think. Also, if you have any other tricks and tips for maintaining muscle, maintaining strength on a diet, please let me know in the comments. But guys, as usual, we're gonna see you in the next video. We've got a lot of big things coming up and lots to be excited for, but we'll see you later. Peace out.